Call to order. This is the 8th regular meeting of the 2009-2010 Common Council. And as is customary, the city clerk will read us our quote of the evening.
Thank you, Mayor. It is not what we take up, but what we give up that makes us rich.
Thank you, Sue. Roll call, please.
Bourne.
Here.
Bauk.
Excused.
Bowers.
Here.
Decker.
Here.
Gisha.
Excused.
Hannah.
Excused.
Heidemann.
Here.
Koth.
Here.
Kittleson.
Here.
Clayunas.
Here.
Montemayor.
Here.
Rindfleisch.
Here.
Cirque.
Here.
Vanderweel.
Here.
Vu.
Here.
And Wangerman.
Here.
13 present.
We have a quorum. Alderman Heidemann will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Joe. Looking for approval of the minutes of the prior council meeting. President Bourne.
Thank you, Mayor Ryan. I move to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
A motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We need a motion for confirmation of the mayor's appointments.
Wait first.
Attorney McLean.
Thank you, Mayor Ryan. This is dated today's date. I hereby submit the following appointment for your consideration. Willie Scharrer to be considered for appointment to the Mayor's International Committee to fill the unexpired term of Mary Jane Norris, whose term expires 4/30/2010, signed by the Mayor.
That lies over. Have confirmation of the mayor's appointments. Steve?
John Bridges to be considered for appointment to the Group Health Insurance Committee to fill the unexpired term of Michael Dietz, whose term expires on 4/30/2010, signed by the Mayor.
President Bourne?
Thank you, Mayor Ryan. I make a motion to approve the appointment.
We have a motion and a second. All
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries.
And Peter Mayer to be considered for appointment to the Civil Service Commission to fill the unexpired term of Eldon Berg, whose term expires 4/22/2013, signed by the Mayor.
President Bourne?
Thank you, Mayor Ryan. I make a motion to approve the appointment.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a public forum.
First this evening we have Greg Robinson. Is Mr. Robinson here? If you could come up to the mic, please, sir. And you might want to get the mic up a little bit higher so everybody can hear you. And I'm going to need your home address, please.
418 Michigan Avenue.
Michigan? Okay.
Can everybody hear me?
You have 5 minutes, sir. Go
Thank
ahead.
you. My name is Greg Robinson. My wife and I retired to Sheboygan in 2005 to enjoy our grandkids. In 2006, I was asked to join the Friends Executive Board of SACS, and I was also asked to join the Mayor's Commission on Aging. After serving 2 years as an ARP counselor, providing free tax assistance to the elderly and disabled, I was selected as the Sheboygan County Coordinator. I'm an active retiree in various organizations and have served in varying capacity, ranging from state president to legislative lobbyist. The mission of the Mayor's Commission on Aging is to oversee and direct the operational concerns of SACS, the Senior Activity Center of Sheboygan, an organization charged with providing programs and services which meet the varying needs of seniors. Along with promoting volunteerism, SACS provides recreational, educational, social, mentoring, counseling, referral, and resource opportunities for seniors. Since I joined the Friends Executive Board, the overall budget for SACS has been reduced. Despite SAC's salaries increasing by over 16% in this 3.5-year period, the operational budget was reduced by almost 24%. Yet, the Senior Center continued to grow its membership and programs. This is accomplished by Friends contributing nearly $100,000 to fund capital expense projects, purchase equipment, supplies, and the hiring of a volunteer coordinator. In 2008, SAC volunteers donated over 6,000 hours to worthwhile projects. Not only the city, but the United Way and the Chamber of Commerce benefited from this dedicated and talented group of senior volunteers. This year, Friends hired a consultant to help SACS chart its future. Input from area residents through internet and phone surveys, along with conducting focus groups, helped provide direction. Several key themes emerged from the Chamness Group study. The Sheboygan community called for the expansion of hours at SACS, the improvement of the look and feel of the center, and the ability to market and raise public awareness in order to attract membership and facilitate fundraising opportunities. Harsh economic times dictate do more with less, and this must become the standard of sound fundamental principles guiding both the private and public sectors in the future. I come before you as part of a community that soon will be the most influential in our nation's history, seniors. We seek this council's support to help provide tools for SACS to begin a journey towards independence and self-sustainment. Alderpersons Klehunis and Vanderweel's resolution is such a tool. Become enablers and join the Friends of the Executive Board of SACS, the Mayor's Committee on Aging, and the City Finance Committee in supporting this proposal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Robinson. Next.
Next on the list would be Susan Seefeld. Susan, if you could come up to the mic, please. Carefully.
Yeah.
And if you want to give me your home address, please.
It's 508A South 27th Street.
South 27th.
Yes, ma'am.
And then if you want to pull the mic just a little bit towards you so everyone can hear you. There you go. And you'll have 5 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Susan Seefeld. The reason I'm here this evening is to bring to your attention what I feel are the unsafe conditions at the N Park Water Park. 1 week ago today, I visited the park with my grandson and my oldest daughter. As we approached the park, we noticed a young boy slip and fall. At this time, I reminded my grandson to please not to run. I played with my grandson, getting wet under the sprinklers, and we had a good time. It's a nice park, and I didn't even know that it existed until my oldest daughter invited me to go along with her and the kids last week. As I approached my daughter while walking, I suddenly hit the pavement. An ambulance was called, and I was transported to one of the local hospitals. I underwent surgery last Tuesday for a broken wrist. I'd like to advise the council that I have submitted a claim for this incident. Having said this, however, is not the reason I'm here. It is my hope that some type of slip-resistant surface be installed to the water park area to avoid further injury. Now, I don't know the validity of this, but my oldest daughter also told me that a young man had to have 4 staples put in his head week before last from falling at this park. Now, I have noticed at the same type of water park on Water Street a surface that is slip resistant. And I'm surprised that such precautionary measure has not occurred at the N Park site. There are also no signs warning the public of how slippery the area gets. I feel that more accidents such as mine will occur in the future if nothing is done. And I don't understand why there is a slip-resistant surface at one location and not the other. I have also submitted a letter to the editor of the local newspaper regarding the dangerous conditions of the park. And this is not to try to stir up any trouble of any kind. This is just to try to alert the public of how slippery it is and how dangerous I feel it can be. I mean, because even as we were just approaching the park, we saw a little boy fall. And at the park on Water Street, it almost looks like a Berber carpeting. And it's a colorful Berber, it looks like carpeting at that park, whereas at N Park, it's concrete. It's a certain type of concrete in the inner core of the park, and then around it's like this red pavers or something that, I don't know, that's what I fell on. I feel it is the city's obligation to take some measures to ensure the public's safety before more injuries occur. If I, as an adult, was cautious and aware, which I was, and still fell, we certainly don't expect small children to be aware of such dangers. I feel the city is obligated to make some changes to ensure all visitors to the park's safety. And I want to thank you all for your time and for listening to me.
Thank you, Susan.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Seefeld. If I just may comment quickly, the park has been, the water splash pond has been closed temporarily. We are consulting with the contractor that built it, and the problem will be fixed before it is reopened.
Oh, that's really good.
Okay.
Because it was just so slippery.
Right.
You know, and I think the inner core of it, the pavement in the inside was more like a sidewalk, like the gray regular concrete, but then it was like these red pavers around it that are probably coated.
Sure. And we are addressing it, and it will be remedied before it's reopened, and that hopefully will be soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next.
Excuse me, last on the list will be Milt Storm. And Milt, can you pull the mic down just a bit? And I need your home address, please.
It's 1736 Marvin Court, and that's in Sheboygan here.
And you will have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you. I had no intention of speaking so early and soon since I spoke at the last council meeting, nor do I intend to compete with other citizen speakers. I want to thank again the fine ladies over at Sue Richards' department for the nice smiles that I always receive and encourage me to speak here. To the mayor and the council representatives, greetings. Two subjects of my concern that I would like to address is how to vote properly in governmental elections and the wellness of our spirits. I had a problem in the 2004 election, but I would only like to address the 2008 election. I have searched the Constitution. I do not find where a citizen can register and vote early at a city clerk's office for convenience. I did observe those proceedings twice. That type of voting makes a mockery of us patriotic citizens who take the responsibility to vote properly. In 1960, when I came to Sheboygan, I went to the city clerk's office to register 3 weeks prior to the election and to find out what establishment I needed to go to. Again, in 1965, my wife and I purchased our home at 1736 Marvin Court, and we again re-registered and voted at James Madison School and then after at Good Shepherd Lutheran Church. In 2004, when my wife Jean was confined to a nursing home, I again went to the city clerk's office about a month prior to obtain an absentee ballot that they sent to her at her new address. I have voted in every election at James Madison School and Good Shepherd Lutheran Church since the year of our Lord, 1960. Here in Sheboygan, we the people, to perform a more perfect union, can demonstrate how to vote properly and be a model to other communities that they can follow. The next issue is the wellness of our spirits. When Charter Cable changed our cable channel 8 to 95 and digital 990, I had a problem with 95. I had to go down to the basement and rewire my crows and ask for my hookup. To check the reception, I happened to view a video show on 95 presented by Alderperson Jean Kettleson, and her wellness program. She showed a chart that contained 3 words, namely body, mind, and spirit. It reminded me of my spiritual needs, to have the Lord with our strength, to love the Lord with all our strength, and that's our body. With our mind, and that's our brain power. And with our soul, that's our spirit. A few years ago, I did re-examine the wellness of my spirit and discovered it controls the wellness of my body and my mind. Therefore, I am more concerned about the wellness of my spirit and less about my body and my mind. I do congratulate and encourage Alderman Kittleson in her pursuit of happiness and her wellness program. Hopefully, we the people of Sheboygan and Sheboygan County can through our efforts of our local government, again make Sheboygan a great city on the western shores of Lake Michigan and be a model example to other communities. And I do have a question for the mayor, and he doesn't have to answer it if he doesn't want to. How much did you pay the Sheboygan Press for the nice things that he said about you in the paper last Sunday? Thank you.
If you must know, Milt, I bought 5 subscriptions this year, so that's what I do. Thanks again, Mr. Storm.
That's it for this evening.
Okay, what we have now is a presentation of a water safety video, which we are going to be airing on Channel 95 and 990. Also, we are hoping to get this into the Mark Cinemas to play before every movie. This is a water safety video on basically riptide currents on our beaches. And this was put together by Jacobson Rost Advertising. And we will have our acting IT director, acting without pay or Terry Hansen, will get this rolling for us in no time.
I apologize. I hit the power button as I was looking.
That's why he doesn't get paid for the job.
They don't let me buy the server.
He's a much better bean counter than he is an IT guy.
Dangerous swimming conditions are most predominant in the early summer and late fall of the year, when cold fronts coming down from Canada bring cold, dense air over Lake Michigan, creating the perfect conditions to quickly form large, powerful waves and deadly rip currents along shorelines and piers. Every year, thousands of Sheboygan beachgoers who also seek to enjoy this phenomenon often misunderstand its full power, and every year many lives are needlessly lost because of it. As you seek to enjoy this beautiful resource, here are some tips on how to enjoy it safely.
As waves approach a beach, the wave itself becomes steeper and steeper. And as the wave breaks, it contributes mass to the area near the shore. The mass forms into longshore currents, and longshore currents eventually turn and flow back out to sea, and that's what forms a rip current. These can be very strong currents, much faster than you can swim against.
What happens is these longshore currents that come along basically hit this pier and have to stop. And then they're pulled out in a very powerful rip current right next to the pier. The structural rip currents can be extremely powerful, even on a day where you don't see the waves coming in on one side of the pier because it might be coming in from the other direction. The pier that appears to be flat actually still has a current going around it and pulling it back outside along next to the pier.
Should you somehow find yourself caught in the power of a rip current, here are a few tips from world record athlete Jim Dreyer, who truly understands the power of a rip current and what you need to do to escape its grasp.
If you find yourself in a rip current and it's pulling you out, first thing is try not to panic. And remember, you need to get horizontal. You need to get in a swimming position. Do not stay vertical. You need to get horizontal. There's less of your body for that water to push against. The second thing you need to remember is swim parallel to the shore. Don't try to fight it. Don't try to swim directly to the shore against it while it's trying to push you out. Get horizontal in the swimming position and swim parallel to the shore. Oftentimes, a rip current is actually very narrow.
If you see an unusual wave pattern, if you see an unusual current movement, if it looks like there's sand in the water, because if that sandbar breaks, that sand has to go somewhere and it becomes in the water, and it's usually a little sandy color, it might be a little brown.
Many do not understand the dangers of piers. Piers are designed as navigational aids and for harbor protection, not for swimming. They're built over piles of large uneven boulders, and these piles are wider at the bottom than they are at the top. Because they line the entire length of the pier, jumping off or swimming near them is an enormous risk.
People do die on these beaches. They do, and it's a tragedy to have it happen. Know your ability to swim and have fun, but be safe. Realize where you are. You're in an environment that is not natural to human beings.
Safety guidelines. Swim with friends, not alone. Rip currents are strongest in large waves, so don't swim in large waves. Beware of irregular wave patterns that churn up brown sand. Don't jump off or swim near large piers. When swimming in waves, wear a life jacket. When swimming in cold water, exit if you feel faint. If you get caught in a rip current, don't panic. Stay calm. Call for assistance. Get horizontal to reduce the rip current's impact. Swim along the beach until the rip current flow subsides. When you're beyond the flow, swim to shore.
Thanks for getting that going, Terry. That was produced by Jacobson Rust, who basically did that at a very reduced rate for the citizens of Sheboygan. What I have here is a certificate of appreciation, and we have here tonight Paula Switalski from Jacobson Rust. If you can come up, please, Paula. Like I said, this was done by Jacobson Rust. For our citizens, it's very important that we educate everybody on the dangers of rip currents and we don't lose any more lives on our beaches. So what this is a City of Sheboygan Certificate of Appreciation presented to Trig Jacobson and the staff of Jacobson Rust Advertising in recognition of volunteering your time and resources to produce a high-quality video for the Water Safety Task Force. This video will help educate the citizens of our community and may possibly save a life. Thank you for your commitment to the City of Sheboygan and the safety of those who enjoy our beaches, signed by myself. And thank you very much. Thank you, Paula. Okay, moving on, it's time for the mayor's comments. This is my favorite part of the evening. First thing we have, this, my friends, is from the first annual city-county golf outing. The elected officials golf outing, that is, the city common council versus some of the county elected officials. I must say that the team of Alderman Surk, Alderman Heidemann, Alderman Gisha, and myself, now our team was actually anchored by Alderman Surk here. We crushed the county. We came in first place, crushed them by a whole 2 strokes. So this is our trophy. We got them. So that's and we plan on winning every year. We were easy on them this year. So we're going to put together a crack team next year. So that's our trophy now. A couple of announcements to make here. Some upcoming events. We have on Sunday, August 2nd, we have the Liars Club Fry and Street Dance, which is a great event. That's at Bumps at the corner of South 12th and Swift from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. Inception, the Liars Club has donated more than $200,000 to local charities and handicap programs, and I will be there myself, and I hope everybody else can be. It's a great event. Next, we have the National Night Out, Tuesday, August 4th at Fountain Park. This is the Walk Against Crime. 2.1 miles begins at 6:30 p.m. Music by Open Door Entertainment at the park, food and beverages, law enforcement vehicles to view, and law enforcement officers to talk with participants. It's sponsored by Sheboygan Countywide Crime Stoppers, Neighbors Against Drugs, and Target. And registration forms can be obtained at all law enforcement agencies in the county and Sheboygan Countywide Crime Stoppers. Another great event. I think all of us aldermen, or all of us elected officials in the city should make it. I'll be there myself also. Next we have this weekend, the St. Spiridon Greek Orthodox Church picnic, also commonly known as the Greek picnic at Deland Park, Saturday and Sunday. Starts at noon. We have gyros, shish kebabs, Greek chicken, Greek fries, baklava, and of course beer and all the other good stuff that goes along with it. That's another great event. Brat Days is the following weekend, Thursday through Saturday. I will be there at Brat Days myself, and many of us will be in the parade. It's always a fun event, of course, at Kiwanis Park as usual. And then August 7th, 8th, and 9th, this is a great event, good charity event. First time in Sheboygan, the Lakeshore Weekend for Kids. It's at Kiwanis Park. It's the first annual Lakeshore Weekend benefiting Children's Hospital and Health System. The bands, children's games, and activities. The Brian Sveeten Memorial Ride. This event is sponsored by Don and Donna Sveeten, Don being Brian's brother. Brian died in a motorcycle accident last year. And they're going to have dragon boat races, which is a boat that you put 20 people in. We have a boat that the city is going to be in, and we're going to have on our T-shirts that we're going to win the race. We're going to be moving at the speed of government. So that's going to be our boat. I understand that the police and fire departments may also have a boat, and anybody else who's interested in the community, it's for a great cause. It's the first time in Sheboygan. This has been up at Manitowoc for many years. Great cause, and I believe I'm also volunteering services for the dunk tank. So anybody that wants to get back at me, now's your chance out there. Of course, it'll cost you a couple bucks for charity. So that's all I have this evening. Moving on, Alderperson Clayunas would like to make an announcement.
Thank you, Mayor.
Let me grab you here, Gene. Hold on just a second. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. I just was wondering, tomorrow night we have our committee of the whole meeting, and it's going to be at 5:30, and it will be a presentation on the Taylor Drive project, and it's a development of what we've seen before, so it is a new presentation, a different presentation. I want to be sure we have a quorum because we have a speaker coming in. Could I just ask how many people are going to be attending tomorrow night so we have a quorum? So it'll be 5:30 tomorrow evening. Yeah, raise your hands up if you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Thank you. We do.
Okay, everybody that raised their hand has to be there then.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Gene.
Thank you.
Okay, the consent agenda. President Boren.
Thank you, Mayor Ryan. I make a motion to accept and file all ROs and accept and adopt all RCs and pass all resolutions.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. That will be 8-1 through 8-14. Alderperson Clayunas.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to separate 813 for a separate vote. We have some amendments we'd like to propose on that.
Okay, we are going to pull out 813 for a separate vote.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are looking at 8-1 through 8-14, excluding 8-13.
Bourne.
Aye.
Bowers. Aye. Decker. Aye. Heidemann. Aye. Koth. Aye. Kittleson. Aye. Clayunas. Aye. Montemayor. Aye. Rindfleisch. Aye. Surrick. Aye. Vanderweel. Aye. Vu. Aye. And Wangerman. Aye. 13 ayes.
Motion carries. Now we will be voting on 813 under discussion. Alderperson Clayunas.
Thank you. There are two amendments we'd like to put into the resolution. No, we don't have it maybe in front of us right now. We got it last time. I don't know if that makes a difference. In the resolution, there was a date mentioned of September 1st, the contract date, and we're asking to amend it to October 1st. Because
Jean, it's not in the resolution. Where would it be in the agreement?
Oh, excuse me, in the agreement. We want to. Do we have to change that? It's a contract.
Where is? Do you know where it is in the? All I see in here is August 1st to July 31st of 2011.
Okay, I was told it was on September 1st was the date the contract was going to be taking place, and they need another month.
Instead of August 1st?
Yes, they need October 1st. If I just change it to that. Second. Okay. The reason is that we have to work with the Interior Department of the Interior, and that all of these things will take a little more time than we anticipated happening. So they think that the contract can be signed and be in effect on October 1st.
Any other amendments?
Yes, I have another one. It's understood by the finance director, but we just want to make it clear that the money that's being collected from TLC for the rental of the room is collected by the Friends, and that money then will be used to pay for renovation of the facility, and that the way the Friends will do it is the money they will give to the city to pay the bills for the renovation. It was just a clarification that everybody understood how the money would flow. I don't know that we have to. Yes.
Steve? Thank you, Your Honor. The contract that was originally discussed before I looked at it was for the Friends to enter this lease agreement with TLC, and it's my opinion that the Friends could not do that because the city owns the building and the city is the one that can lease the facility. The document provides for rent to the city. If the city, I think there should be some document separate from this that if the city chooses for the rent monies to go to some other organization or whatever, that should be made in a document and not just be some understanding of the finance director, because properly it's the city leasing the facility, the rents should accrue to the city. If the city, as a council, chooses to allocate those funds to somebody else, a private nonprofit organization, for instance, they can certainly do that, but that should be done by an action of the council as opposed to just an understanding of the finance director.
Yeah, I believe what we should do is probably then bring in another document on this. It was the understanding from the start of conversation with the Senior Activity Center Committee and with TLC that the proceeds would go to Friends, and the idea of this is to get the Senior Activity Center, Sheboygan Area Senior Center, excuse me, off to financial independence from the city, get them on their way to financial independence. This is the first step in having them become self-sufficient, that they're not dependent upon taxpayer dollars. So I believe that somebody should bring forth a document to that effect, and I know this was the original intention of the whole transaction. Alderman Rindfleisch?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Since the intent also seems to be to change the dates for further out to October, I wonder if this could not be held or sent back to the committee so that at least the agreement can be complete and then forwarded on to the full council. My concern is that while we're amending the report of committee, we're really not amending the report of committee, we're amending the agreement, which we don't have in front of us. I'd be a lot more comfortable actually having the agreement reformulated or at least changed and attached to this report of committee so that we're at least voting straight yes or no.
With the date being in October, would that hold anything up as far as transaction with TLC, et cetera?
I would like to ask anybody from the senior center who that's holding the document up. I would ask the council to open the floor to someone from the senior center.
Second.
Is there anyone who wants to speak to that? If we don't pass it tonight and bring it back with a new date and move the financial arrangement more clear, will that hold something up in terms of our negotiations with the Department of Interior?
Wendy, could you speak on that for a second?
I think.
Okay, if that's that, that's that.
No, Attorney McLean did work on this contract, right? So
Right.
It wouldn't be that difficult to adjust something like that.
No, not to change the date. As far as, I think the rent should, in my opinion, flow to the city, comes into the general fund. There ought to be a document, if that's the council's choice, allocating the monies that are rent payments to whoever. If you wish that to go to a nonprofit organization to assist in aiding the city's senior center, you can certainly do that, but that should be a separate document. And personally, I don't know if senior center has any issue with that as far as timing, but it's not likely that we're going to get approval from the Secretary of Interior, within the next 2 weeks, probably. So you could either pass this with the proposed amendment to change the date of the contract, and then you could pass that tonight or weigh it over. In either event, you could bring in another document as far as funding, how you're going to allocate those funds if you choose to allocate them to a nonprofit organization for their purposes. You could do that, but that should be a separate document, I think.
Yeah, I would suggest at this point that we do pass the resolution tonight as amended, and then we can bring forth another document out of the senior committee, bring that forth on the funds transfer. Alderman Rindfleisch.
I told you I'd have a chance to speak. I would agree with that statement. However, she made a motion for the two amendments. So she would, all the claims would go and just do the date. I have no objection to that one as well. And then we'll pass this one tonight if the council so deems it. And then await for the new agreement.
Did we have a second on your second amendment?
Okay, no, I don't think so.
No, there wasn't.
No, I
Okay.
think it was explained. Okay. I
Okay.
withdraw the second amendment.
Ed, will you withdraw also?
Yes, sir, withdraw.
There we go, that's gone.
Thank you.
Okay. So, we are voting on this as proposed, as amended, with the only amendment being the date. Correct?
Wrong.
We need to vote on the
First, we need
amendment.
to vote on the amendment first.
Vote on the amendment.
And that can be an all ayes.
Voting on the amendment. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now, we are voting. Somebody, Jean, this is yours.
Yes. I move that the report of the committee be accepted and the resolution be passed as amended.
As amended.
And a second. And we will just roll or?
Sure.
Do roll call here?
Yep. Bowers?
If I could raise a point here.
Okay, if we can just hold off for a second. Steve?
Just want to make it clear to the council that the city owns the facility. I know there's been some question, and I've had questions as to whether we're just leasing it or what the status of the building and that property is, but the city owns it. We were deeded it by the federal government. It was surplus property for the feds. Because it was surplus, though, there are a number of strings attached to the deed that they gave to us. They could yank the property back basically on a moment's notice. If national emergency, they needed it back, so they could do that. There's also requirements, and that's why there's a condition in the resolution that says, condition upon prior approval by the Secretary of the Department of Interior. There's a provision that the city can only use it for the purposes that we submitted in our original application for the building, which was to use it as a senior center, and requires that any leases that the city enters into with respect to that building have to get approved in advance by the U.S. Department of Interior. So that was sent, the proposed agreement was sent to the Secretary of the Interior by a letter dated June 9th. I haven't received any response. It was signed by the mayor. I don't know that the mayor's received any response yet, but...
No, we are anxiously awaiting their response.
I would suggest if we do anything in the next couple of weeks that we follow up with perhaps our elected federal representatives to see if we can get some movement on that.
And we did also have several of our legislators that contacted the Department of the Interior to try to move the process along, but like I said, our boat is called moving at the speed of government, so here we are. Okay, now on the vote.
Bowers?
Aye.
Decker?
Aye.
Heidemann? Koth? Kittleson? Clayunas? Montemayor? Rindfleisch? Zurich? Vanderweel? Vu? Wangerman? And Boren?
Aye.
13 ayes.
Motion carries. Communications and petitions, 8:15 through 8:27 to be referred. Report of officers 2, 8:28 through 8:40 to be referred.
Just one thing. On 833, we need to have it also referred to transit.
Okay, 833 will also be referred to transit. Okay. Resolutions introduced 3, 8-41 by Alderman Boren, authorizing the mayor and the city clerk to execute the documents of conveyance for the real estate transaction between the city and Lakeshore Technical College. President Boren.
Thank you, Mayor Ryan. I move that the resolution be put upon its passage.
A motion and a second. Under discussion? No discussion. Roll call, please.
Decker? Heidemann? Koth? Kittleson? Clayunas? Montemayor? Rindfleisch? Zurich? Vanderweel? Vu? Wangerman? Boren?
Aye.
And Bowers? 13 ayes.
Motion carries. 8-42 by Alderpersons Kittleson, Decker, Hannah, and Hill, authorizing the Director of Public Works to solicit bids for the Western Interceptor cured-in-place pipe and manhole rehabilitation project. Alderperson Kittleson.
Thank you, Mayor. I would make a motion to put the resolution upon its passage.
A motion and a second. Under discussion?
May I just, may we take both together, or? Yes. Let's take 842 and 843. They're both for bids for the Department of Public
Okay,
Works.
842, and then we have 843 by the same alderpersons, authorizing the Director of Public Works to solicit bids for the digestion and solids thickening improvements and cogeneration facilities.
Yes.
So we are going to take those.
Can, no.
On 843, I don't know if Sue got my voicemail message, but the resolved on that document mirrors, has the same language as 842, and I don't think that was the intent. I think the resolve should reflect the caption there that it's to solicit bids for digestion and solids thickening improvements at cogeneration facilities.
Okay.
That can just be
Understood.
that can just be corrected.
So we're just going to correct that to
Yes,
the
just
last
correct
resolve
that.
line to state
Yes.
such.
Just make those corrections and then we can proceed. So I move that those resolutions be put upon their passage.
We have a second? Then? We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor? Jean?
Thank you, Mayor. These are funded by loans or from the Clean Water Program, Fund Program, and low interest. And we pay them back through fees that we charge, or how do we pay them back? Is it water fees that we charge? Or
May we ask Sewer Fees Director Bittner to please take the, thank you.
Bill Bittner, our Director of Public Works.
Okay. Both of these projects are in the existing capital improvements project or program. The first one is kind of an emergency because of a major interceptor sewer. That, some months ago, we came to an agreement with our contributors to the system to fund jointly the interceptor based on the use of that interceptor. The intent was to borrow that money through the state. That's about a $3.5 million project, and then jointly pay back the annual loan. That's probably the way to go in this current environment, because I'm not sure you want to go to the bond market right now. The other one is a water plant improvement that cash was available. We have a reserve fund because the plant depreciates and needs ongoing investment. That was intended to be funded internally through that reserve fund. Now, only one other item I would add to that: enter the federal stimulus package, which we've applied for both of these for federal stimulus money. It may or may not be that we actually get any stimulus money, but the fact that that entered into the picture made the funding somewhat, the process much more complicated, because they added a bunch of cash money into the process, invited a whole bunch of new projects, and we probably won't have that sorted out until the end of July.
Thank you, Bill. Alderman Rindfleisch, did you have any?
That was a previous issue.
Very good. Any further discussion? So we're passing 842 and 843. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 8-44 to be referred. Report of Committee 6. 8-45 by Law and Licensing, recommending denying beverage operator's license number 7844 based on the applicant's record of violations related to the licensed activity and the record as an habitual law violator. Alderman Surik.
Thank you, Mayor. Is Holly Usador here, please? Talk to her. Approach the microphone.
If you can hold the microphone towards you, please. Alderman Cirque?
To give the council a little background, this is the second time, our meeting was July 14th, and initially we discussed all background at the committee meeting, and she did not appear initially for it, and the committee did vote unanimously to deny her license. And the meeting started at 5 o'clock. At approximately 5:45, Ms. Usadol did show up. The committee motioned to open floor to her and have her discuss her reasons for obtaining the license. Just a little background on Usadol's background. Her charges in the past were in 2003, she was charged with underage alcohol, 2003 resisting arrest, 2003 possession of THC, 2003 possession of drug paraphernalia, 2006 disorderly conduct, and again disorderly conduct in 2008. She did not disclose the disorderly conduct in 2008. The committee reviewed the violations and ordered again unanimously to deny the license, Ms. Usadol.
Thank you, Alderman Cirque.
Yes. Well, when I did come in on July 14th, I came in at 5:10, but I didn't get up to the podium until 5:45 because somebody was talking for about a half an hour. I came to renew my license. I went to renew my license in March, and when I picked them up in June, the lady had told me all I owed was a library fine. So I went and paid my library fine, and when I came back, I gave her the $40. There was a pass sticker on my license. She had given me my card. And like I said, I was renewing my license. So now what I don't understand is why when I went to go renew my license, yes, I did forget to say that I had that misdemeanor on my record, but I didn't know that the disorderly was a misdemeanor because someone had told me that sometimes they can be a city ordinance instead. So now when I went to the meeting, they had brought everything up from the past. Now what I don't understand is why they didn't say I couldn't have them before. I already had my bartending license for a year prior to when I renewed it. I don't need the license to work in a tavern. I refuse to work in a tavern. My grandma owned a tavern for 40 years. I need it to work at a restaurant. The restaurant that I work at is Luigi's Italian Restaurant. I've been there for 7 years. My boss strictly told me that if I will be fired. I do have a 5-year-old daughter, and I am a single parent. And I already paid the $40 to renew it, and I don't know if I'm going to get that back either. And I'm not here for you guys to feel pity for me or anything, because I did mess up in the past, and I do have this piece of paper. I went out of my way after this last meeting, and I have this piece of paper. It says that the underage drinking in 2003 was dismissed. I paid $6.25 just for this piece of paper to show you guys that that was dismissed because they have no information on anything back in 2003. When I got in trouble with the THC, I was living with my boyfriend at the time for a month, and he had a warrant out he had a raid at the apartment, and I got party to crime for everything. That was over 6 years ago, 2 days ago. It was 6 years on July 18th. And I mean, today I have that on my record. I'm not proud of having that on my record. I was on probation for 2 years. I passed that with flying colors. I never got in trouble after that besides those 2 disorderlies. One I should never have even gotten. And I really need this bartending license just so I can work where I work and be unsupervised and be there by myself.
If I may ask, your disorderly conduct that you got in 08, that would have been your last license year?
I believe that one in March, and I applied for my license in March that same year. And then when I got it, it was in June of 2008. So I'm not sure if that goes with the same, if it happened from June on. I know went to court for it after I got the citation, so that's probably why it didn't go through until after I went to court for it.
Okay, thank you. Alderman Cirque?
The committee was concerned with the number of violations and the extent of them. I now Ms. Usadol, I do have a copy of both disorderly conducts from the police department. Would you want me to read them?
No, I already know what they are, thank you.
Would you want the committee to hear about it?
Sure, if you'd like them to hear.
Are you clean? It would be a problem to report what the police reported in the incident that occurred in 2008 and 2006?
I think it's perfectly okay if you wish to do that. You know, the issue is the recommendation.
We have Alderperson Montemayor speak for just a moment.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Even though it may be legal for us to hear that, I don't think we need to read anybody's court or police report on the television. I object to that a lot.
Alderman Sir?
Well, we're asking the council to vote on whether to grant the license or not. And the information here is it's quite disturbing, I must say. I prefer not to read it because this is being recorded and being on TV and it would be embarrassing to you. But unfortunately, the council perhaps need to, if they're going to take a vote, and that'd be up to the council, I guess, to want to hear what happened.
Well, can I say one more thing? Well, and over a year ago, I did work at a nursing home, and I mean, I tried going in a different direction, but last year I had to have back surgery, so really, I mean, I'm only limited on how much I can lift, and this is really important to me to have this job, and if, I don't know, I've never been the type of person to live off the state or live in a low-income house, or, you know, I've always been the type of person to always make the best of myself and do everything on my own. I never needed any help from my family for anything, which they really couldn't give me much because they don't have much. And I'm just trying to do this for my daughter and be the best. And I know I've done things in the past, and I'm trying to turn my life around.
Alderperson Clayunas?
Mayor, can we go into closed session on this? Would this be something that?
Not tonight.
Not tonight, okay, because it's not on the agenda, right?
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Alderman Rindfleisch?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just wanted to clarify some of the dates. Understanding that there was a disorderly conduct in 06 and one in 08, is that correct? Okay. There was something else in 06. What was that? I had THC in 03, paraphernalia, and something else after that. Do you have the report?
Resisting, go ahead.
The drug paraphernalia drug offense was 2003. The next was disorderly conduct in 2006. One of the concerns the committee has is someone who is in an area where dispensing alcohol or in a bar. Now, the fact that Ms. Usadol does work at Luigi's right now, she could, if she gets a license, could work in a bar. And the committee is concerned about someone having a license and having previous drug issues in serving customers. So that was one of the big concerns the committee had.
Thanks for the clarification. But in 08, she received a license from the same committee. Is that correct?
That is apparent if she had a license last year that the Law and License Committee would have granted her a license in 08.
And the only difference really between when the committee made the action last year to grant the license and this time around is disorderly in 08. Is that correct? So that's the only change between what would happen on the record between the last granting the license and this granting the license?
That's what it appears to me on the dates.
We don't necessarily know what the disorderly is for. We have not read that into the record yet. But it seems to me that well, I understand the concern about the drug paraphernalia and THC being in presence of a licensed establishment. The state made it very clear. We discussed this 2 weeks ago about how the state does not want that situation. Anybody with a felony in that field cannot get a license. To me, the disorderly in 08 would have to be sufficient enough to scare me away, considering we have already given her a license. It's not just the committee that granted her a license, it's the full council that voted last year to give her a license. And that is our actions that we took. And she's made some life decisions based on that as well, to get a job serving alcohol. If she never had a license, she wouldn't have this job in the first place. If we did our work last time around, she wouldn't have this job. She has a job now, we'd be taking it away. Again, that all depends to me on what the 08 disorderly is, if it's sufficient enough for me not to grant that license, but I think we've established precedent with her. She's made decisions based on our actions already, seems to me to go back on those actions, unless 08 is sufficient enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Alderman Rindfleisch. President Board?
Thank you, Mayor Ryan. Without going into details on the police report, the incident, the disorderly conduct, was on May 10th of 2008, and the disposition of the case was not until 9/11 in 2008. The disposition was $150 plus costs. So therefore, if she would have applied for a license last year, it's possible that the case would have shown up when Attorney Adams did the search, but she was not found guilty until September, which would have been after the licensing period. So that's probably how she got the license, because where it took place in May, it wasn't March, it was May 10th of 2008, she was not found guilty until September 11th. That's how it got through the cracks.
That would explain the 08 disorderly conduct not being a factor in last year's decision. Alderman Rindfleisch?
Thank you. With that clarification then, I mean, it does pertain then what the disorderly is in 08. That's kind of my point that way. I mean, we've made our decisions based on everything prior to 08, and she got the license with that one. We didn't make a decision previously based on the 08. So I think unfortunately we do have to hear the details of 08 to make that judgment to see if we give her a license or not. And if that $150 plus cost, whatever that is sufficient enough to deny it at this point in time. But if you go back to 03 and 06, we've already granted her based on that behavior already. She's already made life decisions based on that behavior. So I'd like to hear at least what 08 totally is.
Alderperson Montemayor?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The penalties have already been paid. I will not vote to put somebody out of work.
Alderman Bowers?
Thank you, Mayor Ryan. Seems to be what we're talking about here is a piece of paper. She still can work, but her employer said you can't without a license. Without that license, she can't work. But she can work at any tavern in town without a license as long as there's a licensed bartender on the premises. So by denying her a license, seems to me just a piece of paper. I'd like someone to explain to me why you need a license, but you don't need a license to tend bar.
Well, my boss, he is a really hard one to work for, but he likes to go home during the day, and I'm one of the main people because I was there for 5 years. I left and worked at a nursing home for a year, and then I came back. So I'm one person that he can count on. So when he does go home, me having my bartending license, I can be there with, someone who doesn't have theirs, who comes from college and doesn't choose to have a bartending license. So it's a really hard situation. I can honestly tell you I would never work in a bar. My grandma owned Mr. Glenn's for over 40 years. Now it's Urbane. I never once worked there. I one time filled in a shift for my mom, and I had someone just totally degrade me, and I just refused to ever work in a bar again. And I mean, my grandma was struggling for years with that bar after my grandfather died. And, I could have taken over it and made it into something better, but I chose not to because a bar, I don't like to work in a bar. Waitressing is my thing. I like to talk to people who are normal, not drunk and sloshing all over me, And just waitressing is my thing until I can get back to school and get back on my feet. And it's hard because my daughter's father is going to school full time. He only takes her every other weekend. And, I can't be a full-time parent, a full-time job person, and go to school full-time. It's just not possible, It's just really hard.
Alderman Sir.
I understand the same, but if we were to look at both the disorderly conducts, they occurred in bars, late at night, and you were violent in both situations.
I'd like to say something about that. The one in 2006, I was still with my daughter's father at the time. He got mad because someone was talking to me, and there was a huge altercation with the police. He got arrested. He was put on probation for 2 years. I was on the grass just explaining to him. I was like, can you please stop and listen to the police? I got disorderly for helping the cops out, which I don't understand that. The one in 2008, I was in Plymouth, and some girl just pushed me and wouldn't leave me alone and kept name calling me, and what am I supposed to do, you know? So I pushed her back, and then I got a disorderly too, you know? I mean, maybe there was a little bit more than pushing, but, you know, out of self-defense, I'm not gonna put myself in the hospital.
Well, the record shows that you shoved her and pulled her hair out.
Well,
beat her
when
up.
she,
You won back in 2006, you attacked
I did not attack
a
anybody.
bouncer and slapped him around.
No, I did not.
That's the report says.
I know that's what the report says,
Now
but
Okay. Now we're aware of what the disorderly conducts were about.
Call the question.
Thank you.
Okay, I move that the report of committee be accepted and adopted and deny the license.
Any further comment?
You need a second.
We need a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. An aye vote will be to accept the report of committee and deny the license.
Can I ask a question?
Alderperson Kittleson?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to know, 2000, can you just clarify this for me again? 2008, she received her license? She got a license? And then she had this disorderly conduct?
Correct.
And that's now because she's trying to renew her license?
Right.
That is why they're denying it. Can I ask how long have you worked at Luigi's?
I've been there for 7 years total.
7 years, okay. All right, thank you.
Okay.
Attorney McLean?
Thank you. I'm just looking at the Assistant City Attorney Adams's notes to the committee, and it talks about the beverage operator's license application of Holly Usadell. Doesn't reference it as a renewal, so I don't know from his reference in the committee report, it would be an initial application. I don't know that it's a renewal, but I honestly don't know because I haven't researched this. It wasn't at the committee meeting, so.
Did you have a license in 08?
I do. I have it in my purse if you'd like to see it.
We will take your word for that, I think. Any further question? Further comment? President Bourne?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Usadell, didn't you surrender that license at the meeting?
That was the one I just got. This is my old one, the one that I had to renew.
Okay,
So this one's expired.
The new one you no longer have.
No, they took it.
You have an expired license.
I have an expired one,
Okay,
but I
just
just
wanted to
saved
clarify
it.
that. We confiscated it at the meeting.
Any further discussion? Please, an aye vote will deny the license. Ma'am, you can sit down. Thank you.
Heidemann?
Aye.
Koth?
Aye.
Kittleson?
No.
Clayunas?
Aye.
Montemayor?
No.
Rindfleisch?
No.
Zurich?
Aye.
Vanderweel?
Aye.
Vu?
Aye.
Wangerman?
Aye.
Bourne?
Aye.
Bowers?
No.
Decker?
No.
And that's it, okay. Eight ayes, 5 noes.
Motion carries. Report of Committee 7. By Law and Licensing, recommending denying beverage operators license number 5729 based on the applicant's record of violations related to the licensed activity. The record is an habitual law violator and failure to cooperate with the committee. Alderman Zurich.
Thank you. Is Michelle Passmore here, please?
If you'd like to step up to the podium, please. Alderman Zurich.
Okay, Michelle Passmore was asked to address the committee. Again, it was July 14th, and she failed to appear. Her violations are underage tobacco 2000 and sale to underage in 2009. But the issue there is that she has been, when the matter was brought on her, she had not appeared, and it's been her second opportunity to appear, and she did not. So the committee recommended all ayes to deny the license.
Okay, Ms. Passmore.
I'm sorry, you sent the letter for me to appear to the wrong address, and somebody signed for it, but I don't know who. It wasn't anybody in my family. My address is 1627A Erie, and it was sent to 1735A Erie Avenue.
Okay, is there any way we can have this referred back to committee possibly and review it in committee?
I move that it's sent back to committee.
We have a motion and a second to refer this back to the Law and Licensing Committee. President Bourne?
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. Passmore, do you want to give the correct address to the city clerk so we know where to send the letter this time?
1623A Erie Avenue. I think I said 1623A Erie Avenue.
1623.
Erie Avenue.
Okay.
I gave it to them the other day when I was in there too. and we
Okay.
looked at it.
Okay. So we'll hold this.
Okay,
So-
what does that mean?
That means that we'll send it back to the committee.
You will get a notification to appear before the committee
Okay,
to the proper address,
okay.
and I'd make it.
Thank you.
So we have a motion to refer this back to the committee. And a second. Is that an all-aye vote?
Sure.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Referred back to Law and Licensing. 8-47 to be referred. Other matters authorized by law. 8-48 to be referred to Public Works. 8-49, a resolution by Alderpersons Gisha, Clayunas, Oren, Montemayor, and Heidemann authorizing an amendment to a general engineering services contract with AECOM dated July 11th, 2008. Who would like this? President Boren.
Thank you, Your Honor. I'll make a motion to put the resolution upon its passage.
We have a motion and a second. Under discussion? No discussion. Roll call, please.
Koth. Kittleson. Clayunas. Montemayor. Rindfleisch. Surrick. Vanderweel. Vu. Excuse me, Wangerman. Boren.
Aye.
Bowers. Decker. And Heidemann. 13 ayes.
Motion passes. 8-50, a resolution by Alderpersons Bauk and Vu declaring intent to exercise the police power to levy special assessments for the replacement of lead and/or galvanized iron water laterals in North 6th Street from New York Avenue to Niagara Avenue. Alderman Vu.
Thank you. I move that the resolution be put upon its passage.
We have a motion and a second to put the resolution on its passage. Under discussion? No discussion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. 8-51, an RC by Public Protection and Safety recommending filing document submitting a communication from the Sheboygan Countywide Crime Stoppers and Sheboygan Community Policing Unit requesting permission to hold the National Night Out event, Walk Against Crime, on August 4th, and approving the request. Alderman Rindfleisch.
Thank you. I move that the report of committee be accepted and adopted.
We have a motion and a second to accept and adopt. Under discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 8-52, an RC by Public Protection and Safety recommend filing document submitting a communication from the Professional Firefighters, IAFF Local 483, requesting permission to run their Fill the Boot campaign on August 18th, 19th, and 20th on various street corners in the city and approving the request. Alderman Rindfleisch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the report of committee be accepted and adopted.
We have a motion and a second. Under discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 8-53, an RC by Public Protection and Safety, recommending granting the American Diabetes Association permission to hold their 23rd annual Brat Trot. Alderman Rindfleisch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the report of committee be accepted and adopted.
And we have a resolution along with that, the Resolution 390910,
that the resolution be put upon its passage.
Do we have a second? And we have a second. Under discussion? No discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 8-54, NRC by Public Protection and Safety. Recommended filing various documents. Alderman Rindfleisch.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that the report of committee be accepted and adopted.
Second.
Motion and a second. Under discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. 8-55 will be referred to finance and other matters. Attorney McLean.
8-56 is an RO by the city clerk submitting various license applications for the period ending June 30, 2010 and June 30, 2011.
That will be referred to law and licensing.
857 is a resolution supporting the recommendations from Impact Consultants, Inc. and authorizing staff and Impact Consultants, Inc. to develop plans to implement such recommendations.
That will go to the Committee of the Whole. Alderperson Claudius?
Yes, excuse me. I was reading something else, I'm sorry.
Impact Consultants.
Which one we on?
Oh, let's see, for the IT review? For the Committee of the Whole? Do we like that to go to the Committee of the Whole?
Is there some time frame on this that it needs to go?
The sooner the better on it. I don't know when you have your next Committee of the Whole meeting. This is about an hour plus presentation.
We have committee whole on August 18th, after tomorrow. That'll be the next one scheduled.
Okay, and you have tomorrow and you have a presentation there already?
Yes, tomorrow's is all ready, and then August 18th is the next one.
So it will be Committee of the Whole, August 18th, we'll try for that.
Well, that's scheduled. You have a training, we have harassment training scheduled for that, and we have another thing, rights and duties regarding union and negotiating. Use its room for that. It's scheduled, that's an hour and a half meeting already, unless we want to do one after the first council meeting.
That's probably a good idea. This is
Okay.
timely here, so.
So the next council meeting is
August 3rd.
3rd to August 4th, Committee of the Whole. Yes.
Can we do that? Okay, so we'll refer that to the Committee of the Whole for August 4th.
Okay.
Thank you, Gene.
Okay, sorry about that.
858 is a resolution amending the 2009 budget and authorizing the acquisition of an AS400.
That is referred to Finance.
859 is a committee report by Salary and Grievance with respect to two proposals from ASME 2039 regarding cost savings in the Department of Public Works budget while preventing service cuts and preventing part-time employees from being eliminated. Recommends that the document be accepted and placed on file.
That lies over.
860 is a committee report by the IS Steering Committee advising that the committee met and discussed the acquisition of an AS400, recommends the council approval of the acquisition of an AS400 to replace an older unsupported AS400.
That lies over.
861 is a committee report by the IS Steering Committee indicating they met, wish to recommend to the council the approval of the recommendations by Impact Consultants, authorizing staff and Impact Consultants to continue to develop plans to implement the recommendations to improve the city's IT department.
That lies over.
862 is an RO by the city clerk submitting an application from Eric Reineking for a waiver of the sexual offender residency restrictions.
That will go to Public Protection and Safety.
863 is a communication from the Friends of Kim Fundraising Committee requesting permission to sponsor a dog walk, leased dogs, in order to help Kim Klippel with her much-needed funds to pay for medical treatment starting and ending at Pet Supplies Plus on 8th Street.
That will be going to Public Protection and Safety.
Guess that should be leashed
It
dogs.
should be leashed.
Not leased.
It's not leased dogs.
Might be the leased from the pet store. No.
Never know.
864 is a communication from the John Michael Kohler Art Center making various requests to the city to hold the Big Sheboygan Shebang at the Stephanie Weil Center for the Performing Arts on Friday, August 14, 2009.
What does this go to?
That one will go to Public Protection and Safety, Public Works, and Transit.
There we go, PP&S, Public Works, and Transit. That is all on the agenda. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
And a second. All in favor? Aye. We're out of here.